Hello and welcome to the Satluj TV podcast. India proudly brands itself as the world's largest democracy, but for decades the Sikh community has exposed the cracks in that claim, documenting a relentless campaign of state suppression, silencing of free speech, even the chilling use of intimidation and lawfare against anyone daring to hold it to account. In recent days, New Delhi's democratic facade has taken a double blow. First, we had the sudden government ban on the film Satluj, an act of censorship that ironically proved the film's very point. And secondly, Operation Hardball, the international law enforcement crackdown that's laid bare India's transnational footprints and, of course, criminal syndicates operating here on Western soil. And in the wake of these revelations, a fierce new information war has erupted. And facing global exposure, the Indian state is fighting dirty to reclaim the narrative, to drown out dissent and force its version of the truth onto the world. So, to discuss how this battle for the very truth itself is unfolding, I'm joined today by our regular guest, Dr. Gurinder Singh Grewal. Dr. Grewal, as always, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thanks for giving me time. This is an important subject to share. I think we can start with the slides to see where we started, where we're going. So India was started as a federalism, and federalism is failing because of censorship and the battle for Punjab's truth. So we're going to examine the constitutional democracy, historical inquiry, and civil liberties. Let's go to the next one. So India is called a democracy just because they have elections. Just because some country has election doesn't make it democracy, okay? Governments are chosen through regular elections. That is true, but government is also deciding who to vote. What we need is a liberal constitutional democracy, which India doesn't have. There's no checks and balances anymore. Even the Rahul Gandhi, who's the leader of opposition, is telling all opposition parties to unite and fight. He has made it clear you cannot fight them with elections because they cheat, they buy, and they control the judiciary. So there is no free system. There's no judicial independence, which is very important for our democracy. There's no protection of minority rights. There's no room for free expression. You know what happened to Amrapal Singh? He's in jail without a crime. There's no meaningful accountability. So, yes, they have elections, but there's no true democracy. We can conclude that very easily. Let's go to the next. So this is basically the same. There's no checks and balance, no judicial independence, meaningful accountability is lacking. Let's go to the next one. World's the largest democracy. That's what they claim themselves to be. Largest means more number of people, not largest by any other means. This is not the largest economy. This is not the largest physical country, is just a number of people. In 1950, the republic was declared as independent and independent judiciary. What current debate, constitution scholars, even the ex-Supreme Court judges are participating in some discussion, and they're worried what is happening today to the human rights and elections and all that. And no rights of the organizations, increasing debate, India experiencing democracy. So recently there was one topic, is India truly a democracy? So here I think we'll talk some other time, but I can say for sure what they were talking. In 13 states, there were 60 million voters registered, and the election commission removed 5 point something, almost 6 million of them were removed by election commission. About 30 some percent of them were Muslims. So you can see who's electing the government. Government is not being elected. Government is deciding who will elect, who will vote. So there is no true democracy. Okay. The constitutional next framers establish federal structure. There's a in the constitution there's a union list, there's a state list, and there's a concurrent list. Okay. So what is happened today? There's only one list. That's a Modi list and Ahmad Shah list. Whatever they do, whatever they want, they do, and that's what becomes the law. There's no concurrent list because governors are appointed by them. The states will non-BJP states cannot do anything until the governor puts his stamp on it, and he does only when the union cabinet tells him, which is only two people. So there is no state list and there's no concurrent list. There's only Modi list and Ahmad Shah list. Next. So Punjab occupies a distinctive constitutional space shaped by its unique identity and turbulent history. So Punjab is the homeland of Sikhism, characterized by unique linguistic and cultural identity. So we are very different from rest of the India. Historically, it serves as a central backbone for India's agriculture, military service, and economic growth. So that's a history. Currently, they have destroyed all of that, and Punjab is in a bad shape economically. Friction experience, intense political conflict, militancy, and counterinsurgency in 1980s and early 1900s, leading to deep social impact and lingering human rights abuse allegations. So, Operation Blue Star and Operation Shanti has killed hundreds and thousands, maybe millions, nobody knows the exact number, but has left deep scar on the memory of Sikhs in India and abroad. So this is not forgotten, and this is not a forgivable crime by the Indian state. Okay. So next. The union government or their supporters, they treat Punjab like any other state, but the goal is not to pick a political winner, but to examine how these tensions test the overall state's democracy. The Sikh scholars advocate Punjab's relation with the union raises specific unresolved questions regarding federalism, minority rights, freedom of expression, and democratic representation. You know, the whole country was divided on the linguistic basis, except Punjab was denied till 1966. Even after that, Punjab's capital is still not returned to the Punjab, and there doesn't seem to be any near future decision which is going to change that. So Punjab is treated like a stepchild. You know, they treat Kashmir as a different country and they are occupying by the military. And sooner or later, I think Punjab is going the same way. Next. So Punjab is a homeland of the Sikhs. There's a unique culture and linguistic history, agriculture and military link in. So we have discussed this before. So the farmer strike brought out their grievances, and even though they were able to win by changing the government, whatever they promised, they have not actually carried out. So, but in Punjab, mostly Sikh farmers led the strike, and they have shown the rest of the country if they join them, how can this government be defeated? Next. Unresolved wounds of Operation Blue Star and Operation Shanti are still there. And there's only one person in jail, and his cases are slowly disappearing, and but there's so many of them, he probably will die in jail. Okay. The Punjab demanded for reconciliation, but reconciliation required institutions willing to examine the past through lawful, open public discussion. But that is being denied. Instead of reconciliation, more oppression, more oppression. Okay, next. Now, the recent discussion have brought into light the work and the sacrifice of Sardar Jaswant Singh Khalda and the search for missing. He's a great son of Punjab, who, by his intelligent decision, his hard work, and his team, who uncovered almost 25,000, his guess was 25,000 young, mostly Sikhs, disappeared as they say, lawarish lash, that they don't belong to anybody. And the police disposed them off. And with his meticulous work, he was able to find who those people were and they made the list. Okay. He did that fearlessly. He came to Canada and he talked to the Canadian Parliament. They told him, don't go back, they'll kill you. But he said, no, he has to go back. And, they abducted, they tortured him, daylight, and they killed him. And then we recently have come to light. The movie was made Punjab 1995. For more than 4 years, it was not released because Punjab government and the central government were worried this will set fire to the water because people could not see that torture to a human rights activist. Okay, he was human rights defender. Where did the missing go? And his massive work showed what actually happened. They were tortured by police and disposed of. Okay, so this movie was not released for some years, and now they release it. I had the opportunity to watch this movie little over a year ago. There was one time I think allowed, and we were sitting with Khalra's family. The torture we had to see, everybody had tears in their eyes. And Mrs. Khalra sitting with us was very hard for her, and great lady. She kept her composure. So this is a sad story. Now, all of a sudden, this movie is released for 3 days, stopped on third day. So there are many speculations. I would say speculation. We don't know the real reason why they release. Okay. One thing is certain, I can say for sure. The movie was released on a Zee TV channel. Zee TV channel owner was a member of Rajya Sabha upper house in India from 2016 for about 6 years, then he lost. He won the election with the blessing of BJP. So he's very close to the government, and I think it'd be very naive to believe the movie was released by the producer or the actors and all. The movie was released with the blessing of central government. I don't know what the intent is. Okay, we have a speculations. Some people are talking the movie was released to distract whatever they were facing in India because of corruption at the Ram Mandir, which amounts to 200 crores or more, and BJP RSS was coming under attack. So they released this movie to distract the people from that and have the conversation change from Ram Mandir to Satluj, which they changed the name of the movie to Satluj. Satluj is the river in Punjab. And you have a Satluj channel, they were trying to associate with the river. Okay. So after 3 days, they removed it. I think maybe they felt like this was taking more effect than they expected because people have copied it. They were showing in gurdwaras in several places in India and outside India. So almost anybody who wanted to see have seen or can see it now. It's not a hidden movie anymore. Okay. The effect of this is a very strong. Even the Akal Takht Jathedar went to the river and have a prayer for everybody. Mrs. Kalra said they should have a commission to find out all the people who disappeared, and she's right. It doesn't matter whether they were policemen or they were freedom fighters or innocent people. Truth needs to come out, and the truth is the only power. Okay, but they would not do that. I don't think the Indian government will do that. One of the other concern I have, I am not sure my interpretation is correct, but I think knowing this government history, they are up to something. Immediately after that, the people of BJP are talking, oh, they want a peace. They want to preserve Hindu-Sikh relations in India. They don't want any mischief. This movie had no Hindu-Sikh issue. It is only talking against the oppression and killing the innocent people by the police. What are they talking about? It's a complete nonsense. I think they are playing the election game, and I don't know what next is coming. I heard on one of the channels that the Indian agencies, all of them had a meeting together how to protect India's security system. So they're threatened after the movie. Now they feel threatened. Okay. But there's no such thing in Punjab, but it's all their planning and controlling the narrative, what they up to. I don't know what they're going to do. I think they want to convert Punjab into Kashmir. They already control 50 kilometers along the border. How much more they want to control? So I am not sure what is coming, but I am afraid for this election, something bad is going to come for Punjab, and Punjab is not prepared for that because I think people do not understand what is coming. Nothing good will come out. Something serious is going to happen. I am very worried. It's very tragic that these people do not respect Punjab. They do not consider Sikhs to be part of India. So they want to destroy us. They are destroying inside country. They are destroying the economy of Punjab, and they are killing outside, which has come into light recently from FBI and other countries, law enforcement people. They have sent dozens or hundreds of people to do their dirty job by people who sitting in the jail very, very securely. One of the mastermind is sitting in Sabarmati jail, that's secure jail, and the Home Ministry has passed some uh, directive. I don't think they are allowed to pass a law. Law is different. Then nobody can interview him. No other police can investigate him in any other case. They can not even access him, but he has the phone. He can control narrative. He can call shots, killing other people or financial harm from the jail. So you can see how this government operates. This government basically consider us enemies of the state. And I don't understand why my people don't understand. When they consider enemies, how can we think that they'll be friends, that they'll change something and do good for something? I think that is a mistake. We need to change thinking. If somebody considers you enemy, then you got to be defensive. You got to take every action to make sure you protect yourself. And otherwise, one by one, there be more just one thing colored as. I don't think they respect anybody. He was not a political person. He didn't do anything bad. So that's a sad story. And they are playing mischief. I am not sure. People are very happy. Punjabis easily gets very happy. They are happy. They get to see this. Now India government's truth has been exposed. I think they did it themselves. They did with some calculation, and let's see what is coming next. I am afraid something bad is going to come. They did not do with good intention. Whatever the effect they have, I think they are already prepared to deal with the next, and we need to be prepared to deal with that too. Next. So Sudha Kalra uncovered the scale of disappearance. He estimated 25,000. In this movie, the chief of police of Punjab is saying, okay, now if you don't change, you are going to be 25,001. And that's what happened. Okay, next. Warning in Canada and choice to return. We talked there. He went to Canadian Parliament and he gave his report there, and they told him, don't go back. You will be killed. But he said, no, he has to go back. He belongs there. That's a true Sikh. Next. So what they did is shown in the movie. He's washing his car, and daylight they come and abduct him. The neighbors say watch, uh, and there's no second question that he was abducted by police. Then they torture him, held illegally, and that torture is hard to see. And they kill him. He's a martyr, and they kill him, dispose of his body in the river, and was never found. Okay, next. Historical inquiry as the bridge to federal trust. Regional civil liberties, unfettered historical inquiry, and federal trust. All this means nothing. There's no trust, there's no civil liberties, and this government is treating Sikhs as enemies. There's no there's no other interpretation that I can come up with. Next. So constitution line between regulation and censorship. Article 19(1)(a) guarantees citizens the fundamental right to free speech and expression, intended to protect popular speech and the open examination of difficulty. Okay. So typical of Indian constitution. See, on here they are giving guarantee. The next paragraph will be allow the state to impose reasonable restriction on grounds of sovereignty, security, public order, decency, and morality. Okay. So anything given in the constitution, next paragraph always take over. So this is the illusion in the constitution that people have fundamental rights, they have guarantee to anything. There's no guarantee. Okay. So after the one guarantee, there'll be 2 or 3 more paragraphs taking all those away. And this is true of the whole constitution. And people are still not learning. The other thing I learned not very recently and last couple of years, that people who are practicing law, so-called champions, they have not read original constitution. How can they be practicing law when they never read it? They read everything on textbook. I'm not going to name somebody because I look bad. Somebody who's supposed to be very scholarly. One time I'm talking to him with the Constitution of Article 25 we discussed last time. He says Article 25 gives you the Sikhs the right to bear kirpan. I say, sir, how mistaken you are. Sikhs were given kirpan by Guru Gobind Singh when he created Khalsa to fight oppression. Article 25 gives us right is irrelevant. They can revoke anytime they want. This is how ill-informed these scholars are. When they never read original document, how can they learn? The same story. People there will pass the exam by reading notes and help books and never read the textbook. So that's the fundamental flaw they have. When they don't understand, how can they defend you? Okay, next. The endless censorship of the film. So this is to conclude the story. Film was made in 1995. Diljit Dosanjh and his producer did a great job. I think we owe them thank you note. They may have done other film, other things. That's not the question. They dared to produce this movie to bring the truth to people. I think we should be thankful to them. I am thankful to them. So they put roadblocks. They wanted to cut so many things and they didn't agree. So finally they released. They say compromise, but some people think it was not compromise. It was a true, there was no cuts in this. But, third day they stopped it. They stopped it. They calculated maybe it's gone too far. Maybe that was the plan to start with. But I think this sinister government, you can't expect anything good. So I'm afraid the next plan is for election and they wanted to distract Ram Mandir to Satluj film. And I don't know what else is coming, but nothing good is coming. So state's view, Restriction works on politically sensitive history is necessary. Authorities must prevent material that threatens public order, national security, or violate illegals. That's what they start. But the democratic view gains strength by protecting popular speech and allow careful examination of difficult history, restriction the public record, risk blocking discussions, essentially for healing and accountability. So, next. The federalism requires the sharing of truth. So, without unfettered historical inquiry, a republic reverts to mere electoral democracy. So, India is a electoral democracy, but not true liberal democracy. When government deny the legacy of figures like Jaswant Singh Kalra, it signals a profound failure of liberal constitution democracy. So, when the government agencies kill their own people and then they want to hide. They don't want people to know, rest of the world to know. So what kind of democracy is that? It's a shameful situation, but these people are shameless. That's all I can say. Next. Public trust grows when tough periods can be discussed openly and lawfully, not left to censorship disputes. The right to tell Jaswant Singh Khala story remains the ultimate litmus test for India's constitution democracy. You can see that truth is the only solution, and the Indian government does not want people to know the truth. Next. So now we're going to shift a little bit to the American system. How the American system architecture of independence came. So this is I'm doing this mostly for my own people to understand how other people achieve independence and what was behind it. Okay, we don't have time to go through the whole struggle because it's a long, but we will go through a few slides and then we can talk what we need to do. The architecture of independence, deconstructing the philosophical blueprint, structure, logic, and ultimate civic duty encoded in Declaration of Independence, 1776. This we're going to talk about the Declaration of Independence. Next. The axiom of human equality. So this is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Okay. All men are created equal. All men are created equal. Very important. We'll talk a little bit later. Endowed by their creator. Okay. Unalienable rights. So this is the fundamental things in the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal, endowed by their creator, unalienable rights. Okay. But you cannot teach this to Indian government. This can only work if you first believe. We the Sikhs must believe this. Okay. If the American founders of American as a country believed in this, why the Sikhs sitting in America are afraid of believing the same thing? All men are created equal. The Indian government is not superior to that. We have the right to be free there. We have the right to be free here. Look, not only our people are free there, we are not free here. They can kill anybody they want. So I think we need to, if we didn't learn before we came to America, let's learn. The Declaration of Independence is a document forever, ever. It was not only in 1776. We need to believe in it and continue the fight. As long as we are non-violent, we don't do any crime here, no US agency can stop us. Okay, this is freedom of speech. Next. The revocation of power. Okay, this is from the Declaration of Independence. Government. When any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, It is the right of people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government organization seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. So these are the circumstances when Declaration of Independence was made. When the government is destructive and encroaches on the rights of people, people have the right to change that government and bring about a new government. Okay. So the people who are Sikhs, especially living in North America or UK, okay, you understand how 250 years ago this country was made. Now you have come here, you live here. Why cannot you understand how this country was made? And why cannot you learn that your people, your own birthplace need the same kind of government what we have here? If we had the same kind of government what this country has, our people will be prosperous. So I think we need to learn this is the moral duty of every Sikh living in America to learn this. Declaration of Independence, not only a document, it's a message. It was a message in 76, it's a message in 2026. So please read it, please think carefully and support your own people. Our people are oppressed. They cannot freely talk like I talk or Angus talk today. They need help. We are their representatives, and we must believe Declaration of Independence document for human history, and is the message for everybody who's oppressed that they have to find their own solution and they have duty to do. Okay, next. The tolerance threshold, prudence, mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable. Do not change the light and transient causes. We will continue to suffer if we keep tolerating. Long train of abuses and aspirations pursuing invariably the same object. It designed to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is the right, it is their duty to throw off such a government. There are people who are educated, they come from India. Some of them are so sinister because they don't want to lose their pension and they change the argument. And sometimes I'm even sitting there listening to why we're wasting time. They don't understand anything what I'm talking about. It is Declaration of Independence. This is Jefferson saying it is the right, it is their duty to throw off such a government. We should not be lured by little benefits from this criminal government enterprise. We should fight it. It is our moral duty to do it. Diagnosing absolute despotism, okay? Legitimate government versus illegitimate government. Legitimate government, source of power is consent of the government, okay? People vote and elect the government. But in India, the government is now deciding who will vote. They have SIR. They can take millions of people off the voter list. What is shameful in 2 states? There's a discussion recently I heard yesterday of the retired Supreme Court justices and some other people. They are talking about in the state of Bengal and Bihar, there's a BJP government or BJP with their friends, they have formed the government. So what they're doing is, if you have been taken off the voter list, you don't have the right for government subsidies, like food they're giving, or property, or job, or business. So you become irrelevant, like you don't exist as a human being. Your passport is not evidence of your citizenship. So what makes the people citizens of their country? In the rural areas, still there's no infrastructure for documentation, okay? In the older system, I don't know, it may be still true, we used to have a Nambardar or Lambardar in the villages who was a government appointed or approved person, given some small compensation for that. But his basically thing was if somebody needed to go to court and identify, he will say, yes, this is so and so, it's for my village and my town. That was the standard. Now there is no standard. Birth certificate. How can people have a birth certificate when the system doesn't exist? I tell you my story. I was born after 47 when my family was displaced, and we lived in Ludhiana. There was a town outside called Model Town. That was not part of city. That's where I was born, okay? I was born at home, delivered by a physician, and when I needed a birth certificate, the model town has been absorbed into the city. So district board does not keep record. The city doesn't have a record. So I don't have a birth certificate. So if I was living there, I will be person non grata. I would not exist. But how do I solve the problem? My parents had to give affidavit for the US government to say this is our son born such and such a date. That's how I uh, got the immigration, so with the affidavit. But over there, they don't accept anything. They delete people off the list. Now they don't exist. They can't ask for subsidy. They cannot open a business. So most of them are 30 some percent are Muslims. So they want them to disappear. This is a terrible, terrible situation. I am not talking myself. I heard all the Supreme Court justices, very learned people discussing that on the YouTube. So repeated injuries and hardships make the government a legitimate system. Primary objective, safety and happiness. There's no safety and happiness. It's absolute tyranny, okay? It requires civic action for legitimate government, organizing its power, laying its foundation. But illegitimate government alters, abolish, provide new guards for their future security. So what they're doing, the Indian government, to my conclusion, is illegitimate government. All they're doing is to perpetuate their rule, controlling judiciary, controlling election commission, ED, and whatever, and buying. They have become champions of Hindutva, but they don't really have any religion. Look, they created this Ram Mandir where they removed all the traditional Shankaracharyas and they created their own management board. Now there's a problem there of their scrutiny, how they have been swindling funds. And to distract that, they released this movie. That's what some of them are talking about. Okay. Next. There's a permanent cycle of democratic sovereignty. These inherent rights, equality, life, liberty, happiness, and self-evident. This is from Declaration of Independence. Number two, institute government. Power is granted via consent to secure the rights. People give power to the government. Government doesn't decide who votes. So we're talking here how US versus India, okay? System failure. Government becomes destructive, long train of abuses lead to despotism. So this is where the Indian government. Duty to abolish, number four. Consent is revoked and the people throw off the tyrant. I think this is a legitimate conclusion. What American founders came to this conclusion 1776. 250 years ago. It's never too late. We can learn. I think it's duty of Sikhs living in America to learn. It is our duty to abolish this government and make Punjab free. Number five, provide new guards. Institute a new system designed for future security and happiness. Okay. So Khalistan is the name we use. It could be any name, but we need a free country where our culture, our language, our religion, and no caste system can prosper. And that's the aim, that's the teaching of gurus, and that's the moral duty of every Sikh who claims to be Sikh. If you have not learned so far, read the Declaration of Independence. This is what Jefferson is teaching us. So, some people are running around getting a statement from the congressman, oh, India is doing bad to the Sikhs. That's not going to solve the problem. Okay, it's only a statement. Learn how Declaration of Independence works. Throw off this government. To throw off this government, you need to have your own strategy. You need to have your own efforts, not expecting others to do your job. So, Angus, that's, I think, my closing. We can discuss more if you have any questions.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Dr. Grewal. That was interesting. And it does, of course, reflect many of the things that we've been talking about in recent days in the aftermath of certainly the Satluj film and Operation Hardball. It's very clear to any observer, and particularly from an outsider like myself into this whole story, that nothing is going to ever change. That we have been in this situation, this deep division. It's not even a division. They're on different continents, culturally speaking, India and Punjab and the Sikh people. And that division, that gap between the two has never been close, and it will never be close, because clearly it's like trying to mix oil and water. You can never mix oil and water unless you literally change it chemically. And that metaphor is equally applicable to the Sikh people and the state of India. Neither side is ever going to change. The Sikh people are never going to betray their principles and everything that they believe in, so they're never going to change. And the Indian state is never going to change, clearly, because it never has done since its inception in 1947 or 1950, constitutionally speaking. But the question then is, there can be no resolution, there can be no bridges built between the Indian state and the Sikh people. The Indian state has clearly got an agenda ever since its existence to destroy the Sikh people and its culture. That is never going to change. So the question then, Dr. Grewal, is going forward, obviously there is an inevitability about all this. It can only ever end in one way. They're not going to be able to absorb the Sikh people or the Sikh culture into India. Therefore, it can only lead to fracture, breakage, fragmenting, whatever, you choose your adjective. Ultimately, it can only lead to an independent state or something that I can't even imagine. So in terms of going forward, in terms of strategy, what do you think? We've mentioned this word strategy. What do you think the strategies are going forward to deal with this impossible situation?
So I was thinking, and I think it's a good platform to bring out. Share with you, share with other people, share with every Sikh. So what we have been doing for 42 years is what we can summarize. This statement is attributed to Albert Einstein. I'm not sure if he, the one originally said that, but it appears in Rita Mae Brown's novel Sudden Death in 1981. Okay. The statement is, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So let's say why I'm saying, okay, if you have a business strategy, repeatedly fails, you change the strategy. Okay. If a political campaign keeps losing, rethink the message or organization. If medical treatment is ineffective, you reassess the diagnosis or change the treatment plan. So this is how this statement can make changes. Yes, if circumstances change, same approach may yield different results, but I don't see circumstances changing favorably for us. Okay. What I think we need to do, we need to fight this powerful government, and we have the resources. Okay, number one resources we are wasting our resources on ineffective strategy. Okay. So we live, let's say America, we live in America. It is our duty to participate in local elections, raise our issues. But at the same time, when we elect congressmen, senators, we are electing them to serve for America. If we think spending our money resources on a congressman whose uh, life in Congress 2 years and they have repeat elections, that they will support Khalistan, which has not happened in 42 years, I think we are insane. No congressman is willing to vote for Khalistan right now. Doesn't matter what we claim. We we have a people every now and then they have a picture with a congressman. So and so said that. Yes, we need all those, but expecting that to solve our problem is not enough. That is not enough. I am not discounting that. I've done them myself. And I still think we should support them. We should bring our issue. But hoping that to change everything what we need, bring a new country and have a freedom, that's not the way to do it. Okay. I think we need to have our own strategy. We need to have our own plan. The most effective thing, I am say a lot of people were skeptical, and it took me a little bit time to understand for them. But the most effective method that Sikhs for Justice have done is this referendum, bringing out in public and to the other government and to the Sikhs and to the Indian government what Sikhs want of freedom. So, okay, that's something working, but then we need to go to the next step. The next step is to fight this oppressive government, this Ra who is killing us inside and outside. How do we fight? You need resources. The Sikhs have financial resources which are not being used effectively. To fight this oppressive regime, we need resources. We need to have our own institution. We need to have a defense fund. We need to have education. We need to have welfare fund. Without without financial resources, it will be difficult to fight them. We don't need to keep talking about demonstrations, lectures, statements from politicians that now we have accomplished whatever is we can go to sleep. That is not going to work. I was talking privately, I can say, he's not a private person, he's a public. I was talking to Dr. Bakshi Singh Sandhu, who is a very strongly part of a referendum with Mr. Panu. I was talking to him because I've known him for 58 years. He's a very intelligent, very honest person and very, very dedicated. Okay, I'm saying that without any reservation. I explained to him, I said, we are not doing what we need to do. So, what I proposed was voted for referendum that we want Khalistan. That should not end there. That was one step. Not to bring about, we need financial resources. So I think if each one of us who voted for this, we put $1 a day, we put $1 a day into the fund. We need to trust people like Dr. Sandhu. I have all the trust. I know there can be many more. We need to trust. We need to put $1 a day into that financial sources, $365 a day by 1.5 million, 1.6 million will be more than $500 million a year. That Raw will not be able to produce that much money. I don't know how much money they have, but we can beat them. We can have our intelligence system to fight them. We can have a defense strategy. We can have many more angles 24 hours a day talking our story, but we are not doing it. I think we need to put our money where our mouth is. $1 a day to my Khalistani brother is not too much. $365 a day is nothing. Your living standard will not go down, but you will be able to fight this oppressive government. And that I think without resources, fighting is not easy. Having picture with some important people, yeah, he said, oh, Sikhs are facing difficulties. That's not going to solve a problem, right? We have been talking this for 42 years. I've been part of that. I've done enough of it. And I think we should participate local election, raise issues, but we need to create our own resources. As long as we are non-violent, we don't commit any crime. I think the American system allows us. There are many other people who have done the same thing here. We need to create our financial strategy, create resources, and fight intelligently. That is, I think, my appeal. That's my thinking. If somebody disagrees, I'm willing to discuss it. I think we need to create trust with each other. We can't just say we don't have any leader. We have enough leader. Look what they have accomplished. We just have to recognize we need to support this movement. I think $1 a day will not lower your living standard, but we will be able to fight this oppressive regime with resources, with intelligence, with more media coverage, and that's what I think. I think what we can do with that, that's a more deeper discussion. I think I am not prepared to go that far yet.
Indeed, the greatest enemy of the whole situation is indifference. It requires an enormous amount of motivation and belief, but I do believe that motivation and belief is clearly there. So anyway, but there we must leave it, but we will be talking again with Dr. Groel soon to continue our discussion as usual. Dr. Groel, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us once again.
Thank you, Angus. Vaheguru Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Fateh.
And
we need 24 more, Angus, talking whole day for us. We need to think carefully, and hopefully you can get this message to people.
Indeed.
Thank you, Angus.
An absolute pleasure. So we do need to clone me several times. So anyway, but thank you so much for watching the Satluj TV podcast. We will see you guys next time.